Hello, everybody. This is Tanya Yarbrough on that dog training show. That dog training show with Tanya Yarbrough. This is episode 36, I think, October 29th, 2014. And I made the decision that this would be the last one for this year, for this season. I'm going to go on a couple-month hiatus because the holidays are happening and I got more dogs at my place than I can shake a stick at. Not that I normally shake a stick at dogs, but I got stuff to do. And I'm revamping I've got my new website launched. It's kazzidogtraining.com. That's Kazzi, dogtraining.com. And we've got some cool videos on there with me working with some wolf hybrids and with some little tips on there. And it's going to keep getting better and better and hook up to my Instagram and all that stuff. I'm getting all technically savvy and stuff with the help of people who are smarter than me. So anyway, so I thought that this will give me a good time to start getting some guests for next year and revamp things. So I'll still be posting things on that dog training show with Tanya Yarbrough on the Facebook page. And if you have suggestions or ideas of guests or stories or what have you, I'd be glad to take them because I'm an open book on this. This is kind of, being a mixed technique trainer means that I'm open to a whole bunch of things, even if I don't like certain things for other, I'm picky about it. I mix and match. But so if you have someone who's really great with dogs, who's got a dog business or just has a good story or what have you, I am absolutely open for that for the next year. So bring on the suggestions. The thing that I wanted to end this year with as far as the season of radio, because now I've kind of introduced myself in a lot of different ways. You've seen a bunch of different sides of me. The pretty sides, the not so pretty sides, the calm side, the not so calm side. So I kind of just wanted you to get an idea of who I am and what I'm about. And so I thought I'd end this year with explaining my S.T.A.R method in terms of how I approach dog training, because it is the basis of which I do everything else. And it's what I educate my clients and my students on so that they can solve their own problems. I believe in educating people to be their own problem solvers instead of just sort of holding back information and making you pay for me to show up for something I didn't tell you. I'd rather you call me and say, hey, I did this, and is that right? And I'll go, yes, you did awesome. And not just to be an obnoxious shit, but basically to, it's about boosting our confidence in ourselves and also in our relationship with our dogs. So the S.T.A.R method that I came up with came out of my background for, studying mammals, etc. And it was kind of like, well, what is it that dogs are motivated to do in terms of survivability? Because they're not humans. We want them to be human a lot of times, but they're not. They see things in terms of survivability, and on a very base level, so do we. Or what is it that motivates dogs to do the things, or to vie for status, which is also part of their survivability. I mean, it's part of their social structure. So is it for us. So what is it that's important to them? What do they strive for? What are their power points? What are the things that make them feel powerful or confident or what have you? So the first thing I did was look at just the origins of nature. And that's just common sense. We have nature, or the origins of behavior, We have nature and nurture. Those are the two origins of behavior. I mean, we have no other options. We have what was given to us in our DNA, our biology, our physiology, what we were born with, just that makes us who we are as a species, whatever species it is. And then there's nurture, which is that experience we have through the filter of nature. Those are the two things that we're talking about. And when it comes to dog training, to me, you've got to address both of them. You can't just sit there and just use behavior modification to kind of trick a dog to do something other than what they're already doing. You can't. They're very good at tricking themselves. They're very good at begging for food when they're completely full. They're very good at pretending like they're completely hurt when they're not. Screaming when there's no actual injury. Things like that to get a dog to back off. They're very good at manipulating each other. So the thing is that when it comes to nurture, I don't simply subscribe to just behavior modification, because that is sometimes putting a Band-Aid on something. It's ignoring the nature part. What's kind of disconnected? I go for that first. That's the foundation. I mean, if you're not feeling like you can actually pay your bills or make sure you have food in the refrigerator or make sure you have gas in the car so you can actually go to your job, so you can pay bills. Those are the things that are going to screw you up in everything else you do. It's the stuff that makes you anxious, that makes you overreact, that makes you scream at traffic, besides the fact they deserve it. But you just want to make sure that you've got everything sort of like the very basics of your nature, the needs that you have, and that includes socialization, whatever level that is. I'm an introvert, so I'm very happy to just see people once a month. Maybe. I'm okay. I'm like, I just need socialization once a month. I'm okay. So for other people, it's every day. It just depends on what your needs are. So if you don't address your nature first, then all the other things that you want to do, we're talking about just humans here, your nurture, the habits you want to change, the habits you want to increase or decrease, whatever it is, you're not going to be able to address those until you are certain that you actually have your basic nature addressed, which is, I have a place to sleep, I have some food to eat, I have some socialization, I can now move on. So that's what I look at for dogs. They're creatures. So let's talk about the nature of these dogs. What is it that they vie for that's important to them? It's important to us to eat. Well, it is for dogs too. It's important for dogs to have some sort of social status and positional status. So I created the acronym STAR. S.T.A.R. Space, treats, affection, respect. And so I'm going to define what all these things are so you understand what I'm talking about. There's also called the Star Puppy thing from AKC. It's totally different, so don't even try to go there. This is in terms of addressing how do I approach my dog and dealing with their basic anxiety before I start using behavior modification to fix some bad habits or create some new habits or both. So, space. What is that? Well, space is a very, very powerful tool that I use to actually create a relationship with a dog that I have just met. A lot of people try to use affection right away, and unfortunately they cross over into space too. Oh, I'm going to pet the dog. Well, it doesn't actually instill any confidence in a dog whatsoever if you just go for affection by entering their space and then trying to touch them or give them eye contact. Space has three aspects: personal space, positional space, territorial space. Personal space I've talked before, and if you go on my website, KaziDogTraining.com, you'll see some videos, and several of those videos are actually talking about personal space and the power you have with that. All alphas have a personal space. I don't let my dog touch me. He doesn't get to come within 3 inches of me until I say it's okay. If I have a very pushy dog, it might be more than that. And the reason is that the lowest one on the totem pole in terms of social status is the one who gets touched and leaned on and piled on at any time they want. So if you have a dog that's just all over and jumping, it's to you it's affection, to you, oh, it's cute, but they're also like starting a handshake in a sense. They're saying, look, I want to know where you are versus me. And if you allow them to just jump all over and you reinforce it, you're telling them, that's right, you dominate me. I'm the lowest on the totem pole. You don't have to listen to me. And for a submissive dog, which is what our domesticated dogs are at certain scales and certain, spectrum, they're all domesticated. We have just now screwed with their psyche. We've just now told them that they're actually in charge of us, and that's not what they really want to feel safe. So it sounds and looks really cute, but if you don't maintain your personal space, whatever that is, wherever you go, you no longer have status, nor do they feel safe with you because you are not a leader or someone they can trust. Dominance and submission is about trust. We've had this in a previous episode. So, I think it's episode 7. So, the idea is that you want to be very careful about your personal space, as well as if you have guests over, make sure you maintain their personal space so the dog doesn't dominate them. Because you would like your guests to be able to go to the bathroom without getting their heels nipped by your dog because they thought they owned them. Another aspect is positional space. So I want to make sure that my dog's never ahead of me. If I'm standing still or walking up or down the steps, I make sure that my dog's shins do not go past my shins in terms of a plane, creating a plane. I own that space. They cannot go past it. If I'm walking, their nose does not go past my forward kneecap. Period. Ever. On leash. Off leash, who cares? But on leash, that's the way it is. So if I don't give them the leadership position, then they have no reason to take everything into their own hands. They don't have to protect the pack. They don't have to look for the squirrels. They have to look to you to ask which squirrels they should go after. That allows a submissive, domesticated dog to feel more relaxed so that you now have a better relationship. Again, it's about trust, right? Space. But they will vie for this space if you're not on top of it. And that's true for the positional one. They will take the space if you don't make it clear that you're taking the space in terms of personal and positional. And that also goes with territorial, inside and out. It is your job to mark the territory outside. You've already marked the territory inside with your stinky self. So, you make sure that you maintain those spaces like your bed, etc., and the kitchen, and whatever is important to them. Now, if your dog's also very food motivated, maybe you won't let your dog in the kitchen at all when you are in the kitchen. Just depends on your dog. Just depends on how crazy they are about it. Every dog is slightly different, and what's important to them is what you have to pay attention to. How important is it for this dog to have space or food or, which I call treats, or affection? And then you kind of control that. So, it's one time you can have a controlling relationship and it's actually a good thing. So it's like, if you have control issues, this is where it should totally go. All right. So not with your human relationships, with your dog. So with that, the space thing is in some dogs, that's that's most important to them. Out of all the three things that I mentioned, space, treats, and affection, space is the most important. So they'll always try to get between you and somebody else. They'll always try to stand in front of you and own the space and be right across your legs, whether you're standing or moving, sitting, whatever. They will always sort of be on guard, watching for the entryways and exitways, and always be in the main territory area, watching traffic going through the house. Those are space-oriented dogs, and it's very hard to pay attention to because you got to watch their positioning and watch what they're doing at all times, and then scoot them out of that space and into a different job before you can do it. And you have to do a lot of crating with those dogs because space is such a powerful motivator for that particular dog that you have to take it away because they start getting high, they start getting a little too big for the britches, and they start acting out. And sometimes it's very violent, sometimes it's very aggressive. So we have positional, personal, and territorial space that you have to watch out for. Now, my dog is not necessarily territorial, but he's very about personal space. He's all over it. He just wants to be held. He turns into a little chihuahua that looks like he's going to vomit all the time. But if I maintain my personal space, he calms down. However, if he's out in the open space too much, and he's sleeping on the bed while I'm gone, or he's on my couch while I'm gone, he starts getting more nervous because, again, it's almost as if being right on top of me, and he becomes more anxious and more crazy. So I actually have to crate him during the day while I'm gone so he doesn't start getting bent out of shape and anxious. So another dog might go in the direction of being more aggressive, wouldn't let you on the bed, maybe takes a shit on your bed when you leave, when you didn't get permission from them first, kind of thing. So it just depends on the dog and what they're, how they act out is a little different based on the personality, but apparently space in either case is super important to them. Treats. Treats is anything your dog can put your mouth on. It can be your remote control, your own arm, it could be their food, it could be their dog bed, their toys, what have you. Treats is about possession. So it's anything they can possess physically. So when it comes to that, you got to kind of watch, is my dog super toy motivated? Does he tend to take my stuff and run away with it a lot? Does he tend to hold on to my arm a lot or my guest's arms a lot? It's not now just personal space. It's also about they're controlling you and telling you what to do. Some of the worst cases where people don't really deal with bite inhibition with puppies, their dogs will learn to just possess them by biting up and down their arms just because they moved towards the bathroom too fast when they didn't want them to. I mean, just something really silly like that. And that's something that kind of